Hi, Steve Edwards here with another roundtable with our client success managers here. And today we're excited to talk about hybrid and in-person events using QR codes. You know, people used to talk about virtual being the future, in-person's the past. I don't believe that. I believe that you want to be able to really service all the people in your community. You have to have hybrid events. Some people just don't love virtual, and maybe they don't want to be on a virtual one. But there's a lot of people that may not want to travel, may not want to be in crowds, and they can't leave their jobs to attend an in-person job fair. So that's why hybrid is so important. So today I am here as usual at the round table with Glen and Jordan. Excited today to talk about hybrid with you. So Jordan, you know, I'm gonna throw it over to you today. Let's tell our customers out there, how can we use hybrid to really make sure that they're getting the full power of the Premier Virtual platform?
All right, awesome. So hybrid is very important, just as Steve mentioned. It allows for both those individuals who want to, not travel, not have to deal with traffic, wait in line, things like that. They can participate on the virtual side of things. The employers also that participate in the virtual side of things will be able to provide their information virtually. They'll be able to track information that they wouldn't normally be able to have with just participating in person. And, it's just all around better and a lot more efficient. For example, this event here, Golden Sierra, the Tri-County Job Fair, they had an event and they had both hybrid, in-person and virtual. So they had a hybrid event. And as you can see in the lobby here, they had multiple different categories, and one being the Get Hired workshops. And in those workshops, it allowed for the candidates, the applicants, the attendees to participate in all these different workshops to get ready for the virtual or in-person organizations they were going to be viewing in the job and the opportunities available. They did have two.
Sorry to interrupt, Jordan. Let me ask.
Yeah.
So they did this a week before the events to get everybody ready for it?
Right. A week before the events, getting everybody ready, getting them prepared, whether they're first time virtual, long time since, being in person, they were getting everybody ready for this event through these workshops.
Excellent.
They split the event up into 2 different days. So they had their in-person day, their virtual day, and then they had their in-person job fair. Glenn, how did they go about doing in person? So how did they kind of navigate that?
So the great thing about the hybrid feature that we have here at Premier Virtual is that you have the ability to use QR codes. So what happened here in the in-person event is that they had all employers and then resources. But if you came into the all employers, what these companies did is they built a booth on the platform. Now, when you are in a hybrid environment and you are in person, the Premier Virtual platform offers QR codes for every single booth in an event. So when you are a host of an event and you build an event like this, let me just go back here and I'll show you. You'll see here under your organization list, when I click in here, here are all the companies that had registered for this event. When I go all the way over to the right, there's these 3 stacked buttons, right? These 3 stacked dots here. And when I click on that, you're going to see right here is going to be show booth QR code. And what they did is, as the host of the event, they went through the list here and they printed out all of the QR codes for these companies. And you can see here at the bottom, here's the company. And if I am a candidate walking up to that table in the event, and there's a recruiter standing behind the table, I can then take my QR code, my QR reader, I can scan this QR code, and on my phone, I can view the jobs, I can view the about section of the company, I can view all of the content that this company had put into their booth. Now, if I see something that is, hey, this is going to be an absolute fit for me, I can then get in line and I can start to wait to talk to that recruiter that's behind the table. Now, if this company didn't quite have what I was looking for, I got that chance to at least preview on my phone and say, hey, this company doesn't have what I'm looking for. I'm not going to spend my time in this line. I'm going to move over to the next company and see what they have. So it really makes the job seekers in-person portion of the hybrid event so efficient because they're waiting in the right lines. Now that also saves time with the recruiters because now they're talking to candidates that are interested in the positions that they have available.
Yeah, you really took the words out of my mouth there, right? Efficiency. So, you know, Johnny or Susie job seeker can come in, scan the codes, right? Or, right, they could see them before, right? But if they didn't register before, if they just did it at the event, you know, they have their QR code to come in, they can see the jobs. They don't have to waste their time waiting in line, right? Because what you don't want is that candidate that waits in line for 15 minutes, gets up at the front, here's my resume, my name is Steve, I'm so excited, I'm looking for an engineering job. I'm like, sorry, we only have sales jobs. Oh. Yeah. You know, that happens to a candidate 3 or 4 times. They get deflated, like there's no jobs here for me, and they get frustrated. Here they can see that, so not wasted. You know, and you know, back to when I put on in-person job fairs, you know, for 9 years, you would always have, right, where companies would be like, there was no candidates here that were looking for jobs that I had, right? Because the candidates would, or the companies would sit there and a candidate would come up and say, hey, I'm looking for a sales job. They're like, nope, we're looking for this. If the recruiters get frustrated too, they're going to tell you, hey, this is a waste of my time because I didn't talk to anybody, right? You're making everything efficient and effective, right? Your job, and this QR code's really the number one job, and we could say all these things out there. The number one job of this QR code is to connect the right candidate with the right recruiter so they get hired, and then you get to be able to track that hire came through your job fair.
Absolutely. Great point, Steve. And, you know, one of the other things is that some of our hosts will have their candidates pre-register for these types of events. So that means they send out our traditional registration link, the candidate registers. It needs to be very clear on the registration page that this is either an in-person or it is a hybrid, so that they are aware of that. But if not, we also have here, when the candidates come in under the share button, if you are a host, there is an event QR code, and you can place this registration QR code at the entrance of your event so that candidates that have not yet registered come in, they scan it, they go through the wizard, they set up their profile in a matter of minutes. They're now signed in, they can go and start scanning booths. Jordan, I got to ask you one question. Yeah. When I scan that QR code at a booth, what happens? Where's the data go?
So that's a great question, Glenn, because I was actually going to touch on that. And that's the best thing about hybrid is a lot of the reporting that you would not be able to get in person, you can get with these hybrid events. So just as Glenn asked, you know, what happens if I did scan that code as a candidate? Where does my information go? So for the employers and for the host, they have the information of that attendee visiting that booth. And the employer will also have a visitors list that they can physically download and view of the individuals who did scan that QR code at their physical booth. Now, at a regular in-person event, I'm not sure about you, but I don't know if I'll be able to pay attention. Okay, she came to my booth. Let me make sure to write her name down, this person, or keep track of the packs and stacks of resumes that may be available, where you can just, you know, sign in online, go to reports, download your visitors, and be able to follow up.
Yeah, think of, right, I'm gonna go back again to my previous life. After an event, I want you as a host to think about this. When you walk up to a company after the event, do you ask them, hey, how did the event go for you? I always did. And I'd always ask them, so how many people did you talk to? I don't know. How many people did you, resumes you get? I don't know. How many interviews you schedule? I don't know. The majority of the time you got the, I don't know, right? And a little shake of the head. I did not like that, right? So a lot of this stuff that we built, these analytics are here so that the data that you couldn't track in person, you could track online. But now with these QR codes and the hybrid future or the feature, you can track that data. You know that candidate went. And guess what? Because they visited, one of our other features now is the hiring metrics tool, which, You know, we have another roundtable on that we can talk about, but all this data is in there. So now you can track the hires through the hiring metrics tool out of your hybrid events as well. So you're getting more analytics, more data than you ever would have got out of a regular in-person job fair.
Data out of an in-person portion of an event. Amazing. Amazing. One other thing I just wanted to point out here, this was another customer that hosted a event that was also hybrid. And what I wanted to point out here was two things. One is the registration page. So you want to make sure that when you are doing an event like this, that your audience is really understanding that this is either an in-person or a hybrid event. And you can see by this registration page, there's a couple things that you'll see. On the graphic image, number 4 is scan QR codes at all tables. Download a QR reader to your phone. So they're prepping the job seekers that QR codes will be utilized in this event.
Yeah.
When I come under here under the information section, you're going to see down here at the bottom that there's a note. Look for QR codes at each table to access the business online job postings. And they put in a sample. So if I click here on the sample, they got very creative and they branded the QR codes. So now what they did is they made a template out of, some site like a Canva. And what they did is they put each company's QR code in here in the flag. They've got their branding right here on the flyer. And now when I walk up to that company, I can clearly see that QR code. I scan it, I go to their booth, I look at their jobs, and I can either determine this company's a fit, I get in line, or I move on to the next. The company gets the data, the host gets the data, and it's just really, really efficient for your job seekers and your recruiters.
Yeah, and, I love that printing out aspect of it, or like if I attend an in-person job fair and we're doing some hiring there, I'll have my laptop set up with my QR code just right there. So I have my virtual booth set up so they can kind of see everything right through it. Even when I'm at the in-person job fair, if it's not a hybrid, I still have my laptop set up and I'll have my QR code to get them in so that I can track when I system. So if the companies, if they don't print it out, which I believe printing out is important, right? Because you can set it there for them, you're helping them. But if not, a lot of times people might just have a tablet or they'll have their laptop set up where they can just scan the QR codes. And you can just scan the QR codes with your phone. Most of the smartphones now, you don't have to use a reader, but they always like just to make sure, right? It's better to have people more prepared than less prepared. So
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Glen, Jordan, thank you again for taking a little time, for all of our people out there using the Premier Virtual platform, right? Everybody who watched this, thanks for attending another installment of the Client Success Roundtable with Glen and Jordan, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.